Welcome, everyone, to this pro-life retreat. It's a pleasure to be with you. I hope you're praying for me on this retreat. I'm praying for you. Well, we don't know what kind of a sinner the paralytic man was. But we do have an idea about the depth of faith the four men had in Jesus. As an architect, former architect, for 7 years before entering the seminary, I'm always amazed to reflect upon this gospel passage, this event of the healing of the paralytic man. I wish that I was there to see these four men, who were friends of the paralytic, to find a way to get him before the Lord so that Jesus may heal him. The saying is true: if there is a will, there is usually a way. And they found a way. Imagine the crowd, so large and packed together that there was no room for a paralyzed man on a mat to be before Jesus. One of the paralytic's four friends had to have been a builder or an engineer to come up with the idea to lower him down from the roof. First of all, how do you get a paralyzed man on the roof, let alone find a way to break through the roof large enough to pass a man through the hole, the opening? Then how do you find a way to fasten a paralytic with rope while they are lying on a mat? Would have loved to have seen that. Imagine the commotion and the attention they would have garnered from Jesus and the crowd. Imagine the mess this would have caused. And then to see the paralytic being lowered down right before Jesus, if the four friends estimated correctly his location below the roof. Think about that. All heads would have been looking up as to wonder what was going on. When Jesus recognizes their faith in him, he said to the paralytic, "Child, your sins are forgiven." Wonderful. Well, why not say that to the four men who had complete trust in Jesus to heal their paralyzed friend? Maybe the paralytic needed the forgiveness of sins most. Regardless, this announcement that the sins of the paralyzed man are forgiven gets the attention of some scribes who are Jewish theologians. And they silently ponder, how can this be, since only God can forgive sins? They presume incorrectly that Jesus is not God, and therefore he must be blaspheming, which is a crime, which carries the punishment of death, according to Leviticus chapter 24, verse 16. Jesus knows, of course, what they are thinking. He's God. And so he chastises them for entertaining such thoughts. Which is easier to say to the paralytic, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Rise, pick up your mat and walk"? Fortunately for me as a priest, it is easier to say, "Your sins are forgiven." But Jesus continues and says, "But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority to forgive sins on earth," he said to the paralytic, "I say to you, rise, pick up your mat, and go home." that the Son of Man has authority to forgive sins on earth. The Son of Man. That's the title Jesus uses. That title points to two of his natures, human and divine. It can simply mean a human being, but it also speaks to his identity as the Messiah, alluded to in the book of Daniel, chapter 7. This should be a clue that Jesus is making a claim to his divinity. What is so wonderful in this event is the double miracle: the forgiveness of sins and the healing from paralysis. The bodily miracle we can see, but the other we cannot see because it's spiritual. By observing the corporal healing, we can naturally assume that the spiritual healing occurred as well. So what is our takeaway from this marvelous event? 1, spiritual healing may be more important than physical healing. Jesus is the divine physician of body and soul. And a second takeaway may be to make friends for yourself who have a strong faith and trust in Jesus. You want to have friends like the 4 the paralytic had. A faithful friend, as the book of Sirach, chapter 14, verse 6 says, is a sturdy shelter. He that has found one has found a treasure. St. Thomas Aquinas wrote, "You can live life without a good reputation, but you can't live without friends," which is why he believed that the sin of backbiting, which is breaking up a friendship, is worse than the sin of calumny. From a pro-life perspective, pray to God and his saints who have had some involvement in murder, like King David, St. Paul, and St. Dismas, for the conversion of those who have had abortions. Advocate for them, or have cooperated with them. And believe in your heart that all things are possible with God. Never underestimate what God's grace can do for a sinner. They may become a saint because of your powerful witness and your prayers.